Hello and welcome to my February wrap-up. This month I read 4 books and I thought I'd share them with you. The first book I finished this month was Chain of Thorns. I can't believe I've read it. I can't believe this series is over. This era of characters is over. I did post a reading vlog of this book, which will be linked below or on my channel if you're interested, but I loved this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I don't think it's the best thing Cassandra Clare has ever done. I don't think it's my favourite of the series, but I still really enjoyed it. I think Cassandra Clare is especially good at writing compelling characters. While maybe the plot wasn't something I was super interested in, I wanted to learn more about the characters. I wanted them to be okay, and so no matter what was happening in the story, I was still really hooked because I wanted to know what happened to these people that I came to care about. I have heard a lot of mixed reviews about this book, and I don't really stand on either side of the argument. I think it was good. Again, I don't think it's the best of the Shadowhunter Chronicles, but I still really loved it. It's hard to talk about this book without any spoilers because it is the last of a series. I will say that it was really interesting to see where the family tree kind of came from and, you know, more details about that. It's hard to talk about. I found myself absolutely bawling my eyes out, but also laughing, and I was so joyful and also so sad. This book was a lot of fun, and it's kind of sad to see that it's the end of an era. I loved the parallels to The Dark Artifices. The Dark Artifices is my favourite series by Cassandra Clare, and to see the way this book especially kind of reflected parts of that series was really cool. It's made me very excited for The Wicked Powers, which is the next series in the Shadowhunter Chronicles. This book left me with a lot of questions, and I know I'm probably never going to get answers, but I loved it. The next book I read in February was one that was on my TBR for years, and that is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I started this book right when it came out. I bought it, I started it, and then I just stopped. But I did finally finish it. I actually listened to the audiobook, which was incredible. It's basically a full cast. Those are always really good. I think full cast audiobooks are just like a special experience. But this book was great. I do think that maybe I listened to it a bit too quickly and didn't let myself sit with it, but I was kind of hooked and just wanted to kind of find out what happened. I think one thing that Taylor Jenkins Reid does really well is end things with like a punch to the chest or stomach or heart or whatever. I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo earlier this year, and that did the same thing. Within the last few pages, she'll just drop something that changes your perception of the entire book. This one in particular changes the entire book. I did read this because the show is coming out. I'm so excited for the show. The cast seems incredible. I'm just so excited. But I do want to talk about some spoilery things, so if you don't want to hear that, mute the screen until I put the book down. So if you're still listening, we're talking spoilers. Finding out that the interviewer is Billy's daughter changed the entire book for me. You realise that like Billy has definitely been shaping a narrative, because he's not going to go to his daughter and talk about cheating on her mother or anything like that. I thought it was so interesting. Throughout the entire book there were these little things that didn't line up. People remembering things differently or purposefully like misrepresenting what happened. And you're kind of left with this idea of like not really knowing the truth, and like you don't know who exactly is being more honest, which was so intriguing to me. I also loved at the very end finding out that after Camilla passed away, that she left a note for Billy to find Daisy, and something about that just like hit me so hard. This book was incredible. I'm so excited for the show. I do genuinely think the show's going to be great. I am a little curious because even from the trailers it's clear that they've changed a few things, but I'm so excited. The last 2 books I read this month were Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I can't believe I finally read this series. Starting with Six of Crows. I had started this a while ago. I had gotten a few chapters in. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. Well, I was. It was one of those situations where like I knew I was going to like really love the characters, and so I didn't want to read it because I wasn't in the mood to be like super invested in something. But this series was incredible. Every character is really lovable to me, even when they do bad things. I was worried at the start that I'd only care about, say, Kaz and Inej, but I found myself really interested in Nina and Matthias? That other character, I don't know how to pronounce his name. But even like Jesper and Wylan, I just loved them all. There are so many parts of this book that just stuck out to me that I loved. I wanted to read this series because of the show. I tried to watch it when it first came out, but I was so confused whenever these characters came up, so I just kind of stopped. I didn't want any spoilers or anything, so now I'm starting to rewatch it. I've watched the first episode and already it's so much more exciting because I know who they are and I care about them. I'm so invested in their lives. Going into Crooked Kingdom, I was a little bit worried. I had heard a lot of people talking about it being quite sad, about chapter 40 being particularly upsetting. Oh my god, okay, I'm gonna talk about spoilers now, so until I put the book down, I will be talking about spoilers. You have been warned. The start of this book was so interesting to me. Seeing Kaz lose his mind when Inej was in danger was just so good. I loved it. In Six of Crows, Kaz was pretty merciless, but when Inej was in danger, he was so much worse, but like in the best way. I love the way that the relationships were done in this book. The fact that they were all just kind of like, what are we? Like, seeing that both Kaz and Inej really cared about each other and loved each other, but like have respective traumas and like just couldn't be with each other yet was really interesting to me. I think that Jesper and Wylan's story was really interesting. I got so excited when Jesper kissed him and then it wasn't him. I freaked out at that. I kind of lost my mind, and then he was in the doorway and oh my god. I love Nina and Matthias. I'm just gonna call him that. I don't know how it's pronounced yet. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, chapter 40. I knew chapter 40 was like the danger zone. I knew that was what everyone would talk about, and so I think I was at chapter 36 maybe, and I was kind of like preparing myself. I remember I stopped reading because I had a wedding and then I was like, you can't read this right before you go to a wedding, so I left it for the next day, and oh my god, I read this yesterday, so it's very fresh right now. The end of chapter 39 left me just like so sad. Chapter 40 was criminal. A tiny paragraph was so brutal. I ended up finishing the book and like going to my mum to just be like, this book, this thing, and the chapter was so short, but he was like home and he was so... I generally can't talk about it. After chapter 40, basically to the end of the book, I was crying. Seeing Nina mourning was so painful. But then also, you know, the happier end, seeing Kaz and Annette, oh my god. The scene where he is like telling her that he like has this boat for her, and then she sees her parents, I was so... Sad's not the word, because it wasn't sad. It just... I was already emotional. And then that happened, and like when Kaz and Inej like held hands, it was over for me. Who would have thought that some characters holding hands would like be so emotional to me? But yes, I loved both Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. They were so good. I'm so excited for the show. I did forget to tell you what I rated the rest of these books. Daisy Jones got a 4 out of 5 for me. Six of Crows also got everything got a 4 out of 5 for me this month. I don't know why. That's really strange. Everything was 4 out of 5. What was I saying? Every time I film, I end up getting a phone call. Okay, but yeah, I rated everything 4 out of 5 stars this month. I usually rate things with like a 0.25 or a 0.5, but that just didn't happen this month. Everything was a 4 out of 5, which I think is pretty good. I know there has been some like online discourse about star ratings and the way people use it, the way that some people will rate everything a 3, the way that some people will see 3 as like a bad book. I think is very interesting. For me, 4 out of 5 stars is a good book that I enjoyed, had a few flaws, but was still pretty good. I very rarely give anything a 5 out of 5. 3 out of 5 is generally just like, yeah, it was alright. Like, you know, there were quite a few things that I didn't love, but it was okay. 2 out of 5 is like, not for me, didn't really like it. I can kind of get why people would like it, but it's just not working for me. 1 out of 5 is a bad book, basically. But I basically never read anything that gets a 1 or a 2 star because I'll DNF it. So yes, in case anyone was curious, which no one was, that is how I rank books. I'm actually really happy with my reading this month. I felt productive in my reading. I finally got to some books that I've been wanting to read for so long. And I'm feeling, I guess invigorated would be the word. I'm excited to read. I'm also feeling quite inspired to write, which is really good. I'm having a good time. I'm feeling good. I'm excited to see what I read in March. But yes, I think that's all for today. So yes, that's all I've got for you today. I had a really good reading month. I'm feeling good. If you would like to see any of my future videos, you can subscribe. My Chain of Thorns reading vlog will be linked below if you're curious to see that. You can like this video if you liked it. Have you read any of these books? Did you like them? Tell me your thoughts. I am genuinely curious. I love finding out what other people think about the books that I have enjoyed. Are you excited about the Daisy Jones or Six of Crows show, or I guess Shadow and Bone? Let me know. I upload twice a week. You can subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.